Well, hello, and welcome to this learning opportunity about the Employee Retention Tax Credit. My name is Scott, and I'm a co-owner at Building Momentum Resources. And Building Momentum Resources is focused on helping business leaders that maybe get stalled out in the day-to-day grind and are missing out on some of the growth they'd like. And we come alongside with marketing, consulting, sales coaching, and strategic planning to help you maximize your profits. And one of the ways to add to your bottom line potentially is this employee retention credit. And I've got a good friend, Dan Coleman, who works with a business called Cost Cutters International. And he's here really just to educate you and help you understand what the employee retention credit is and how you might take advantage of it. And then, of course, if you're interested in learning more and possibly investigating how it might play out in your specific business, Dan would love to interact with you. And I'll share at the end how we might be able to get you in touch with Dan. So enough there. I said, I know Dan is excited to share with you how you could potentially earn up to $130,000 for every 5 employees with your organization. So without further ado, here is my good friend, Dan Coleman, who is going to share a brief presentation.
Scott, thank you for that kind introduction. We're going to cover a lot of ground today about the Employee Retention Tax Credit, from what it is to how to qualify for it and to how to protect yourself from a scammer. We're going to demystify ERC for you. Said another way, how are you going to be able to engage and know how to engage a trusted tax professional? The first clue about what is ERC is in its title. It's the Employee Retention Tax Credit. It's a tax credit, and it actually is real. It is part of our tax law, and because it's giving out a tax credit where people are able to get money back from the government, it has attracted a lot of scammers. As you can see from Doug O'Donnell from back in March of 2023, he said, while this is a legitimate credit that has provided a financial lifeline to millions, this credit is the ERC, there continue to be promoters who aggressively mislead people and businesses. So how many folks should be able to qualify legitimately for ERC? Well, there are 33.2 million small organizations, small meaning 500 or less employees, and the IRS estimated that 70 to 80% of those should qualify for ERC. So that means we should be in the 20 to 26 million organizations that have a legitimate claim. Are you one of them? I don't know until we actually have somebody look at the details about your specific situation. We are actually helping a lot of for-profit organizations. You see them listed here. We're helping a lot of nonprofit organizations. You see them listed here. It doesn't matter if you're running a for-profit or a nonprofit. This credit provides a financial lifeline, especially as we've been seeing credit tightening up over the last 12 to 18 months. ERC is an economic stimulus payment. It was introduced in the CARES Act in March of 2020. It's a refundable tax credit. And we'll get into that a little bit more in just a minute. It's been amended multiple times. And by going through the details, the law, the guidance, all of those things, your refund might be zero. You don't qualify. It might be $130,000 for 5 employees, which is 5 employees times 26,000. It could be more, it could be less. As you see here in the table, really what happens is you have to compare your information from 2020 and 2021 every quarter to the equivalent quarter of 2019. And while there's a theoretical maximum credit of $33,000 per employee, that only happens if you're a startup. So again, there's a lot of detail here. There's a lot of more we could go into, but just know right now that that is the overall approach to this whole economic stimulus. Let's now talk about how you qualify. How you qualify, many folks think they don't qualify because they didn't experience a revenue decline. They didn't get shut down. They were considered essential. They received a PPP loan. Well, if you look at the original guidance back in March of 2020, it really was you had to have a significant gross receipts reduction, 50%, over 50%, or you didn't qualify. Well, if you had over 50% and you took PPP, which is the payroll protection program money, you still didn't get any ERC money. Then, as each subsequent amendment happened, that guidance now opened up and gave people more opportunity to qualify for the credit. Current guidance is now saying, even if you took PPP, you just can't double dip. You have to separate your PPP wages from your ERC wages. And now, instead of just a financial test, there are financial tests and there are non-financial tests. So all of those things that once made it so that was very hard to qualify for an ERC refund, you now have the ability to have an opportunity to be able to qualify. And that or is very important. A financial test that you passed or a non-financial test that you passed. Let's look at some of the additional qualification questions that are listed here. Did you have a sector of revenue that showed a decline? For a nonprofit, it might be my in-person giving went down, but my online giving went up. Well, if your in-person giving went down, that may qualify you for a credit. So all of those things, if you're thinking this is complicated, there's a lot here. You're right. It is complicated. But once you get through all of those details and you actually qualify for a legitimate claim, you're going to get paid directly from the IRS with a check. And that claim is going against the Social Security and Medicare taxes that you already paid. This is why a nonprofit actually qualifies, is because while they're not taxed from an income standpoint, they do pay the Social Security and Medicare taxes for their employees. It's a fully refundable tax credit. That means if your calculated credit is more than the tax that you paid, you still get the higher calculated credit. It's not a loan. There are no requirements on how you spend it, and you claim it by filing an amended return. And we really like this quote from Judge Hand, where he said, anyone may arrange his affairs so that his taxes shall be as low as possible, for nobody owes any public duty to pay any more than what the law demands. Let's just emphasize again, this is not a handout. This is part of the law for taxes, and it's a credit for something that you already paid. So at this point in time, how do you avoid a scammer? Well, the IRS has put out warning signs. If your company that you're talking to, the preparer refuses to sign your return, that's a big red flag. If they refuse to explain exactly why you qualify, another big red claim. They pressure you to submit a claim. Funny story, I have a brother who lives in Finland, and he was contacted by a scammer organization, and he asked, well, how would I qualify? They said, oh, well, it's a tax credit and blah, blah, blah. And he said, but my business is in Finland. And the response was, yeah, but we can still get you money. So that, my friends, is a red flag for that organization is scamming. They want to be able to charge you a large upfront fee, and they're going to be very aggressive going after it. So what you want to do to protect yourself, work with a trusted tax professional. We have listed here the IRS directory of trusted tax professionals. Go there, type in the name of the company that you're talking to, and you'll be able to see whether or not they're listed. And make sure you have an audit defense package built into the process. where the explanation for how you qualified, any references to government orders, explanation on how your amount, your credit was calculated is important to have just in case that you actually get audited. Make sure that a real person with credentials, either a CPA, enrolled agent, signs and files your amended return, because then they are responsible to be able to make sure they complied with the law, and they help you to make that happen. Make sure you don't have to pay your contingency fee until after you receive your funds from the IRS. Again, that makes it so that you're protected. Ask for guarantees, ask for long-term audit support, and then ask them, well, what do you do to make sure that you minimize human error? These are just some of the things that you can do to be able to protect yourself from a scammer. We trust that this really is going to give you good information to be able to understand how you can move forward confidently with your investigation into whether or not you and your organization qualifies for ERC. We're into the Q&A time. We can ask questions now. You can also contact myself, or you can contact CCI's Chief Development Officer, Rick Seibel, and we'd be more than happy to be able to walk through your questions and be able to answer those for you. You can also do some more research on our website. Thank you so much for listening. You have a great day.
Thank you for listening and enjoying this information from Dan Coleman. And if you think that this might be a good resource for you, we here at Building Momentum Resources would love to connect you with Dan and see how he might be able to answer your questions or potentially help walk your organization through this process. We appreciate you taking the time to listen. Please message me or reach out through our website, which is buildingmomentum.info, for more information to get you in touch with Dan. Thanks and have a great day.